Hello, Darklings! So the top 10 lists I've been doing so far, which is not many, seem to be relatively popular than just the plain old movie suggestions, probably because they're more concise and specific and whatnot. So today I wanted to do witches, which have been super popular lately, not just in alternative culture, but in mainstream culture, which is probably why Stevie Nicks went from being a goddess to some people to a goddess to a lot more people. She's been everywhere lately. Not that I'm complaining. Anyway, so for my witch list movies, one of the weirder ones that my friend had me see, because I don't know how he found this movie in the first place, is The Woods. So, girl goes to boarding school, this creepy place, and people are all suspicious and weird, and then lo and behold, there's witchcraft afoot. It's pretty ridiculous, but also kind of great, and definitely skipped over a lot, and Patricia Clarkson is always a gift, especially when she's being kind of scary. The next one on here is, since I'm such a Rob Zombie junkie, is The Lords of Salem. Now, this is kind of painting witches in a really bad light and mingling it with Satanism, and that, of course, is not so fun for witches, but it's a very interesting movie. I like the visual styling and the director stuff that Rob Zombie does, and I have seen all of his movies for a reason. I don't necessarily think they're all amazing, but I do like the style that he has in his films. Plus, I really want Sherry Moon Zombie's apartment in that movie because it's amazing. Anyway, the next one up on here is my favorite Dario Argento film, Suspiria. So, there's an American girl goes to center of Europe to a ballet boarding school and to study, and then weird shit happens. And it's witches, because that's always what happens. It's a similar plot, and I think The Woods kind of got part of their plot from this film. The color palette's really intense, the music is really, really something. It's a trip, and is part of what makes it so infamous. The music's done by Goblin, and it's one of Dario Argento's most successful films, and the first part of a loose trilogy. The second one is Inferno, and the third one is Mother of Tears. Unfortunately, I have not gotten the chance to see either one of those, but I'm getting to it. Next one up on here, probably one of everybody's childhood favorites, and if not, then you're lying to yourself because this movie's amazing, is Hocus Pocus. Because who does not love Hocus Pocus? Except maybe those crazy people that don't like Bette Midler, like my uncle. Ugh. This movie is always cute, it's always funny. You've got everything. You've got Salem, you've got black flame candles, and you have ridiculous witches introduced to the latter half of the 20th century. I grew up with this movie. It was always my favorite thing on Disney Channel when I was a little kid, and of course I had to buy it on DVD, and I watch it almost every Halloween if I'm able to. It's perfect and amazing and magical, and yay! Next one up on here is kind of stupid as hell, but amusing, which is Little Witches, which is bad girl Catholic chicks in a boarding school that then decide to practice with witchcraft and then get taken over by the devil and shit gets out of control. This movie is not good. It's like the discount version of another movie I'm going to mention. And it's kind of pathetic. But it's also worth the watch, if only to laugh, because it's just so pathetically bad. The next one up on here, it's also pretty terrible, but the TV show is wonderful, is Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Now, the original film is a TV movie, so it's not necessarily what I would call good, and a lot of the budget is almost non-existent, and some of it's pretty watered-down kitsch, but it's still a fun film, and I just had to rewatch it to kind of remember, and I was like, oh, childhood, the 90s, yay. It seems as though the 90s was the high time for teenage witches. So, that movie is definitely a lot of fun. It's very cute, and I do recommend the TV show more than the film itself, but the film is kind of what kicked it off and got the show going, and the show definitely has a lot of special moments, including Salem the cat, who is the voice of all of us. Anyway, the next one up on here is called Teen Witch. Now, this movie is very dumb. It's on Netflix currently. It's pretty lackluster, as in the writing could have benefited from being more than one-dimensional. But it's cute, and, I mean, you kind of want something else from it, but it's definitely light and fluffy and kind of amusing. There's not a whole lot to it, but it's definitely charming. Very 80s. Very 80s. And I definitely like the girl's fashion towards the latter half of the film. It's not great, but Zelda Rubinstein's a bonus, because she's kind of a gift. The next one up on here is ridiculous, which is The Witches of Eastwick, with, let's see, Susan Sarandon, Cher, and Michelle Pfeiffer. Oh my goodness, this movie is a hot mess, but I am pretty fond of it and need to rewatch it. But Jack Nicholson, why did you meddle so much? Anyway, it's totally worth the watch, and it's classic 80s nonsense. Also, big hair. So much big hair. The next one up on here, this one's a little bit more sweet and charming, which is Practical Magic. Now, I know a lot of people follow this film as a cult film. I think it's pretty cute with Sandra Bullock and Nicole Kidman. And, I mean, it's two girls whose parents died, and so they went to go live with their crazy witch aunts, which seems to be a very reoccurring theme, hence Sabrina the Teenage Witch. And then learn their witches, and then develop their craft, grow up, learn their curse when it comes to men, and then they go home and they all grow. I mean, it's very cute and sweet, and there's some parts of it that are quite sad, but it's well done and a slightly better budget than some others. Now, my number one favorite witch movie, which seems to be extremely popular, especially lately, and is one of my main fashion inspirations, would be The Craft. So, Little Witches is like the discount bad version of The Craft. The Craft is great. It's one of those movies that's kind of terrible, but kind of perfect, and I appreciate that they deal with witchcraft in a more realistic way, as in a lot of the beliefs and practices that they cover in the film are more what modern witches do. It's mid-90s LA. Fairuza Balk as Nancy is amazing. It's definitely a fun film, and it's interesting to see the dynamics of the four girls and how they come to love and hate each other. Some of it is pretty cheesy, but it's definitely pretty amazing. Plus, Nancy is one of my main style icons, especially because as the movie progresses, her hair gets bigger, her eyes get crazier, and she gets hotter. So that's always a bonus. So I hope that you can check these out. Let me know what you think. Till next time, Darklings.